Happy New Year, everybody in the paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in the Odyssey Files first episode of the 2025 year. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, barely, is my co-host, Mr. David. Sorry, good evening, Dave. Good morning, Dave.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
I was going to say,
how are you doing on this beautiful start to 2025?
Rusty as F.
No shit. Me too.
Of course, it's 2025. What else would it be?
Yeah. No, it's what is this? Our second show in the morning, right?
Yes.
We did one, and then we had our holiday break, and then we're kind of back from our holiday break.
Kind of back. We are 80% back.
We're about, I was going to say we're about 75% back.
Give us a week or two, and
we'll be about 88% back. Give us a month or two, and we'll be about 95% back. We'll get there.
It's
we're working on it.
Advanced evolution.
Yeah, we're working on
it. But we do have some great things. We will be lining up here for shows coming up. A great episode for you right here this week, where we were
going to talk about this, but then we changed it as we came on the air.
I was going to say, but we still are. And that is kind of news from around the world in 2024 that we missed. Or
a little recap.
Or that happened as we went off the air. So we didn't get to it until right at the end, and then didn't have any time to do it.
Right. We're certainly going to talk about this whole drone thing again. So, because it's just interesting, all these theories there's just a ton of conspiracy theories out there right now.
Yes.
But there's some legit stuff out there too. And like I sent you the clip from what I consider that guy to be a pretty legitimate observer of what is happening with his background, that and we'll go over that later. But
absolutely. That's about the only person of authority
right
on the matter that I would ever even listen to.
Yeah, that's why I sent it over, because I thought that too.
I was saying, because then you sent me this thing off Reddit, and I'm just reading it, and I'm like, "This is why, Dave? Why?"
Yeah.
Like, I blame you for for what has permeated my head, and not in like, oh, what if, like, I didn't even go down the rabbit hole. I'm like, there is no rabbit hole here. No. Like, you're like, this person's digging the rabbit hole.
Yeah. With a tiny shovel, with a kid's sand pail shovel.
Trying to make it look like a rabbit did the work,
right?
And did not. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. We do have to get to some listener mails. So I
just want to start by saying that I know it's a little early. It's still morning. But I want to say congratulations to the Vikings for winning the NFC North and the NFC
the number
title.
1 seed. Yeah.
Number 1 seed.
Okay. Got out of your system?
Yeah. No, not really. But that's how I'm starting today. I'm going in with a positive mental attitude today. So
yeah. Well, whatever.
Yeah. So we'll have home field advantage, and we'll be
out in the first round. Well, second round, actually.
No, that won't happen. Isn't it crazy though that irregardless of who wins or loses tonight, they're both going to be like 13 or 14 win teams, or 14 or 15 win teams, and one of them's going to be the division champion, and one's going to be the 5th seed. Mm-hmm. It's just insane. That the record, as good as both their records are, that one of them is going to be the number 5 seed and have to travel.
Yep.
I'm just like, oh, what the heck?
So, I didn't read it.
Division this year. So
we're the NFC North was the number 1 division in the entire league.
Yeah, no, it was a great division this year. Absolutely.
If only the Bears could have gotten their head out of their asses.
They could have even went 500 this year. I mean,
Yeah.
it would have been phenomenal, but obviously they're struggling still. But we'll get there next year.
No, you won't.
I have faith in their young quarterback, and they fired their head coach. So I heard Pete Carroll's it wants the Bears job. And if Pete Carroll gets the Bears job and they let him run the team like they should. So if anybody's listening who owns the Bears, let Pete Carroll run the team because he did a really good job. He's done great everywhere he's been, USC and Seattle.
Yeah, but isn't he like 90 years old?
No, he's 76 or something like that. But he's like the youngest 76-year-old on the planet Earth. They said he's in like phenomenal shape and has all of his wits about him. He runs up and down the sidelines better than the players do. So that's fine. I don't mind that. Hell, if we can elect another, on the verge of dementia president, we could certainly have somebody who's a couple of years younger than him running the Bears. It'll be just fine. Dub Bears.
Dub Bears.
Bears.
Something we won't be saying next year.
We'll see.
Unless
maybe I'll have my Bears hat on next year.
Maybe it'll be
this year. Later this year.
Maybe it'll be a Packers Bears will actually be a good game.
Yeah, maybe. It's the longest running game there is, right?
Yes, it is.
It was like the first game played or something like that. Or longest running rivalry is what it is. Yeah.
Speaking of which, we have the Odyssey Files is proud to present the Mailbag. Sorry,
cuts me right off. It goes right to the mailbag.
Yeah, that's exactly why I did it.
I know.
I'm like, well, that's enough. We have to save some stuff for 2 dudes and some chips.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where we talk about football.
Gotcha. Well, I had to mention it tonight just because we're at the end of the season. So.
Well, true, but the people who listen in June, they're gonna enjoy the Viking Lion, conversation. Yeah. All right. So, hold on one second here. I gotta pull up stuff. All right. So I think this is a question that was written in that I think it's something that I've actually discussed with my paranormal team a lot lately. And I don't know if we've actually more than a passing statement or something like that have really hit upon it. Or if I did, it was probably with Cena or something like that. But okay. Are you really that dead if your consciousness would still continue existing? If ghosts are real, then you'd continue to exist forever. Is it really even death anymore? You'd still exist. You'd merely have shed your fleshy vessel. If anything, you'd be much more powerful as a spirit. Somebody's been watching Star Wars.
Exactly.
Because that's really just a takeoff of, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. And Yoda,
sure, because you're going back to the Force.
Well, you're right, exactly.
Yep.
And Yoda is saying, we've figured out the gift to immortality. But that doesn't. I may seem like I'm mocking this person's question. I'm not. It's a very, very good question. I'm just mocking the way in which he wrote it. Because there's really a lot of Star Wars in there. But it is a question that I think paranormal investigators specifically need to focus on and really take to heart, because I think that in a lot of ways, a person's traits and characteristics can be used to really help figure out what is going on in people's homes or in any sort of haunted location. The age, how were they aggressive? Were they not? Were they loving? Were they not? And you use these traits that this person had, because if they are intelligent spirits, and that's the main difference here, intelligent to residual, because residual, you're not going to do anything. It's going to be there. I mean, you can get rid of it, sure, by saging and getting kind of moving the energy on or dispelling it. But intelligent spirits are going to be, I don't want to say exactly like they were in life, because
Well,
I
supposedly you don't carry any of your traits forward, right? So we're a
well
blank canvas again, so to speak.
we'll see,
That's what they say.
well, a lot of people say a lot of things.
I know.
That's
I'm just saying that's what they say, right? We're supposed to be a blank canvas, but if that's the case, then if you're a grumpy guy in life and then you're a grumpy spirit in the afterlife, right? I mean, we've heard that time and time again, right?
Mhm.
Where it's not an evil entity, it's just a grumpy old man who doesn't want you walking across his lawn.
Mhm.
You know, that's the way he was in life, and that's the way he is, and he built that house, and he's staying whether you like it or not, type of thing.
Exactly. But I mean, that leads. This is a very, very obviously a complex issue.
It is it's a very simple question, but a very complex answer. Yes.
It is because like I go to places like, excuse me, the Leduc Mansion in Hastings, Minnesota. Love that place to death. I've gotten EVPs off the wazoo. Intelligent, you know, and answering questions, singing with like a shh, like they're interacting because we're around. Got all of that. So I don't call them dead. I call them living history, because I'm actually able to talk to them if they're willing to, talk back, which
Right.
unfortunately, isn't often. But again, we don't know how easy or hard that is for them to do. We always assume it's easy. All they have to do is talk into the recorder, and the recorder will pick it up.
Mhm.
Probably not the case. But again, that's entirely different.
No, we
entirely
could go down
different.
a rabbit hole there, right there, right?
Well, of course, but that's not
You know,
the spirit of the question.
right.
Um, so I mean, I've actually started to say, and have tried to put this forward to the investigators on my team, to not even say dead anymore, to say like passed on, because that's pretty much what they're doing. They're passing on to the next level. What that next level is or what it's meant to do, I still have no idea. Nobody does, um, because you have to add in a whole, once, like, let's just use myself as an example. Once I pass on, don't I get back all of the memories and lessons and knowledge that I've accumulated through all of my lives? Or do I have
Mhm.
to effectively leave this world behind in order to get that? Like, there's so many different variables and paths that you can go on this, uh, that it would take it's going to take decades to figure it out. Or one very knowledgeable spirit.
Right.
So I mean, that was willing to come down and actually answer questions in a very clear and concise way. And again, don't know how easy or hard that would be. But
I have not
um,
run into that yet, by the way.
there are a
I've run into
few.
some great answers, but I've
Yes.
not had the conversation of what happens on the other side. Everybody
Yeah.
seems to shut up immediately when you ask that question. It goes dead silent.
Well, I mean, and there's even, you and I have heard the theory that there are rules on
Right.
what the other side is allowed to
Absolutely.
say
Right.
and not say.
Right.
And but then you get these EVPs that kind of throw that off.
Right.
And why do these psychic mediums able to predict the future and stuff, but they're not allowed to tell us like what their names are? Like, it just
Right. Right.
it doesn't, like, there's just so many here and there's that it drives you mad
It
if you
does.
try to go through all of the different ways in which this could happen and this could happen. Um, I don't, obviously, there's the theory, you can't create or destroy energy. All you can do is, move it around or whatever. And I get that. So yes, can you live forever? Sure. Uh, unless obviously, the source, God, whatever you want, just, wants to eat you like, last night's pizza. Because apparently that's what we're for. Our souls are just to be God's lunch. But I digress. I'm going to save some for you, Dave.
I don't know that I have an intelligent answer for that, except for here's my guess. Here's my best guesstimate, right? If you're going to be recycled because it's not your last time around, then you're not taking anything forward. I don't think you take any of your memories or anything forward, because you're supposed to be a blank slate. According to multiple individuals that I've talked to, when you go back through and you re-sign your documents, which again, I know for a fact I didn't sign up for a spinal injury for this time around, so I don't know where that came from. But anyway, I digress. But I think that probably your last time through, right? So you're not. This is like, I've been told this is my last time through, so we'll see if that's true or not when my time comes. But if it's my last time through, then I think it would be cool. I don't know that it's going to happen, but it would be cool if every life that I've lived, that I had knowledge from every life that I've lived, like I had memories from every life that I lived. And then that would make sense to me in the fact that then I can reflect back on my journey and all of the things that I was supposed to learn. And then I can talk about all the things that I learned and all the things that I was supposed to learn. And I would have the knowledge of that. And that to me sounds like what's supposed to happen. If you have to go around 30 times and this is your 10th time, then I don't think you're carrying anything forward. I think that you're just a blank slate coming through again, but hopefully when it is when you finally pass the test, you can look at it a million different ways and put a million different words on it. But when you finally are done and you get to move on to the next level, hopefully you take those memories with you. And then, that would be cool, right? I mean, it'd be great. Like if I've lived 30 lives, hold on. If I've lived 30 lives, I would like to be able to reflect upon those 30 lives. Like if it's my 30th time and this is the time that I go, like, move forward type of thing. I'd like to be able to look back on all 30 lives and kind of reflect on the things that I was supposed to learn in each life. And then and then that would be great, because then I would understand the great mystery, right? And maybe that's where the gag order comes in. Hey, I'm going to grant you the knowledge of being able to understand your entire path from 1250 BC. Let's say that was my first life. And then all those lives forward. And God's going to give me the ability to understand all of that in a concise fashion. And then, but I can't talk about it. Like that's part of the deal, so it makes sense, right? I mean, to me, it makes sense from all the things that I've experienced in my life that people would consider paranormal. That would make sense to me, because then I'm no longer going to be here anyway. I'm going to be someplace else, in the cosmos, in the universe somewhere. I just saw a thing the other day, and I know this is going off in a little bit of a tangent, but in our universe alone, there are 40 billion planets that have potential life that are like Earth, that they think are like Earth. 40 billion planets. Mm-hmm. And just in our universe. That's not talking about all of the universes all of time. That's just what we understand right now to be our universe. There are 40 billion Earth-like planets, they estimate. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm going to one of those. Maybe we're all going to one of those. Maybe it's our next journey. Maybe that's the next stomping ground. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I mean, I don't want to go today necessarily, but I'm not worried about going. I'm excited when the time comes. I'm excited to take that next step in journey. So,
Yeah, there's a planet out there called Earth Landfill, and that's
I don't want to go there.
all of the souls of,
Yeah, I know. I don't want to go there.
get
I don't want
thrown
to go
in
to
the
the
trash.
Earth purgatory either. That's I'm not looking for that either. I want to go to the happy place where there's no more pain, there's no more misery. You don't bring any of your baggage with you. Get to see my dad again. Get to see my dogs again. Get to see loved ones that have passed. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But that didn't answer the question. Sorry. But there is no answer to the question. I mean, that's my best guess as to what's going to happen with our consciousness when we move forward.
There is no concrete answer.
There is no concrete answer. I mean, I don't care. I've heard a million. Well, not a million. I've probably heard over my lifetime probably 200-300 different ideas from different people, or from shows I've watched, or from books I've read. If anybody had the right answer, it would be concrete. Nobody has the right answer. It's all speculation and guesses. You have to experience it for yourself in order to find it. And then, like the great Houdini, right? He said he was going to come back and let us know what was going on. And even he can't. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, moving on. That took 15 minutes for one question. We're in trouble. Okay. Hi guys. I'm home alone and I just heard some whistling and then something in the kitchen fall. I was downstairs grabbing my clean laundry when it happened. I'm scared because I heard the whistling again along with my mom's voice, and she is not in the house. She's picking up my sister. I'm 18 and I've been seeing things out of the corner of my eye and orbs, like a red orb, before I heard the whistle. This is freaking me out. Can you help? Well, we can try to help. So age might come into play here. I'm not saying that you're not hearing what you're hearing, but 18 years old and home alone, and down in the basement doing laundry, if you were kind of freaked out about being home alone or a little freaked out about being in the basement, you could be seeing something out of the corner of your eye and mistaking it. But I won't dismiss hearing your mom's voice or whistling in the house. If you have pets, they could have knocked something over in the kitchen, so that there's a logical answer there. I don't know that anything's happening, but it could be the start of like a mimic in the house. There'd have to be more to this question, as far as like, have you experienced anything before? Is this something that's been ongoing for a while? Is anybody else in the house having any experiences? Stuff like that. If not, I would just dismiss this as, and I wouldn't dismiss it, I would just say that it is your imagination running wild because you're a little freaked out about being home alone, or downstairs alone. I've been in some creepy basements before. I grew up in a house that had a creepy basement. So, it can happen, but I wouldn't put too much into it unless this is a constant thing. And then I would say that it's time. Like if you hear this whistling all the time, or you hear your mom's voice all the time and she's not home, or frequently, not all the time, but frequently, then I would say that it's time to figure out what's going on and reach out and get some help and bring somebody into the house that can help you. Whether it's get a blessing to the house, although if it's not an evil spirit, I don't know what a blessing isn't necessarily going to do anything. Don't run out and buy sage and do it yourself without knowing what you're doing. I would in this case, I would think I would get a paranormal team in there and document what's going on first. And if nothing gets documented with a couple of visits, then I would say it's maybe your imagination running wild.
I'm going to go with I'm going to start. Let me rephrase. I'm going to start with the natural explanation type thing. I mean, because you're downstairs, you're hearing this whistle in the kitchen and then something falling. So we don't know what kind of year it is, or what time of year it is, I should say. So is it summer and the windows are open, or partially open? Because often if it's windy outside, even if your windows are closed, if they're not like properly insulated or sealed and stuff, you get that.
Yeah, you can hear a whistle. Yep.
You get a whistle there. I mean, like, so is it like, or is it like, I mean, if it's doing pop goes the weasel, probably not the wind.
Probably not.
But
or the cat call. Yeah, it's probably not the not the wind. Yeah.
But if you're just hearing the slow and steady stream, that could be the wind outside blowing through the windows. If your windows are open, and I mean, my only hesitation to this obviously is I would think that if you walked upstairs and the windows were open and the wind was blowing, you would understand why you heard the whistle and why something fell. Like it wouldn't be lost on you as to why this happened.
Right.
So that's my only thing. That hesitation in that theory, where trying to recreate it would probably be the best thing to do as an investigator. If you did call in a paranormal team, like that would be something to try to recreate, see if you could get something to fall. I wish I would have known what fell. Is it something heavy? Was it a pen rolling off the counter? Like what was it that actually?
Yeah, I mean, if it was your cast iron frying pan that fell off the stove onto the floor, obviously there's something going on. Right?
Yeah, it's
I agree with you. If it was an empty pop can that was sitting on the edge of the table that got knocked over because the window's open, those are two totally different something fell ideas.
Exactly. Like, do you have a dog that wheezed and bumped into the kitchen table and, overfell, something that was on the edge? Or do you have an asshole cat?
Cats love pushing shit off of stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, they'll sit there and just like, doink. And then they're happy, and then they're like, "Okay, I knocked it off," and then they walk away. So
and they'll stare you right in the eyes the entire time they're doing it.
Oh, absolutely. And then they look at you like, "Clean it up."
That's their jerks.
It's their job.
So, but anyway, that's out of here. That's just further details that people like a team would need. If you were to call me in, those are the questions that I would ask.
Yeah.
So I did look up red orbs while you were giving your answer.
Yeah.
And typically a red orb can symbolize a few things. One of them being obviously like anger and aggression.
Yep.
Another one could be like passion, so to speak, or like a warning, something like that. It's typically not love, which confuses me because that's what I would have used, but apparently not. So I don't know if you've seen the red orb means something. If you've been seeing orbs since you were 10, for the last 8 years, since you're 18 now, you probably attract spirits. Like you have gifts.
Right.
You don't just see orbs for 8 years and not have gifts.
Right.
Unless you're mistaking dust for orbs, and I don't think you are. Not with the naked eye.
No, right. Not with the naked eye. Yeah.
And so you could have attracted some spirit could have come in. Maybe they were angry before they even got there. They don't know what's going on. They're, that's just in their nature. It goes right back to our previous question. Were they an angry person in life, and now they're passed on, they don't know what's going on, and they're angry, and they see your light and they come to you answers, and you're ignoring them because you're doing your laundry.
Right.
They're going to get even more angry.
Right.
I'm with Dave though. If this is a one-off, and you just continue to see orbs, and maybe this one was trying to get your attention or something like that, and that's how they knew how to do it. And then once you don't respond or whatever to it, they leave. I would just chalk it up to a one-off experience and move on with life.
Mhm.
And again, just like he said, if it continues to happen or it starts to escalate or something along those lines, a reputable paranormal team, because in the stories that I found, uh, it's gonna hit upon that topic for the second hour, but uh, or even a psychic medium, because the psychic medium will not only be able to tell you like what is going on and why you're seeing these auras, but they might actually be able to help you control it or even stop it, depending on what you want. Paranormal team will not be able to do that. They will give you answers, but
Will they be able to document what's happening?
right, they'll
See,
be able
that's
to
the
tell you.
biggest thing for me, right? Is a paranormal team can make you. The biggest thing for me is a paranormal team, and the reason I got into it is just to let people know that yes, what you're experiencing is true.
Knowledge. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yes, this is happening, right? You say that this door keeps closing. I'll take that house in White Bear Lake, right? If one of the claims was, hey, this door to the basement keeps closing all the time by itself, we have no idea why, and then we catch it on film, which we did. Yeah, we just documented. Yes, you're right. That is right, right? Like that door closes by itself. We don't have an answer as to why it does, but we caught it, right? We saw it happen on film, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's things like that, and then it just brings some relief, I think, to the client that it doesn't necessarily make it go away, but at least there's that feeling of I'm not going insane. Other people have witnessed what I've witnessed. Now I feel like, okay, now I've got a little bit of knowledge behind me. I've got other people that understand it with me. Now we just need to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm trying to find something.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, it's all right.
And it kind of leads into the next thing too. The next question, actually. So if there is something happening in the house and it is going to escalate, then if physical touch becomes part of it, along with hearing like a mimic and hearing a whistle and seeing red orbs, if it escalates to the point where you're getting physically touched, such as you're on the staircase taking your laundry upstairs, you lose your balance because somebody puts their hand in the middle of your back, right? Now that's stepping up to the next level, or you get scratched, or you get touched. We've had that happen a lot. Or you're folding your laundry, you're sitting on the edge of your bed folding laundry, and you feel somebody else sit on the bed. You feel a depression, which I have felt that more times than I would like to have felt it. And it's just like an uncomfortable feeling because something just sat down and you're like, okay, who's here? What do you want?
all right, we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. I am being followed by what I think is a spirit, and I'm at my wit's end. I, male 21, am looking for any kind of helpful information regarding the figure that follows me. For context purposes, I'll start at the beginning. When I was 18, I started seeing a shadowy figure at work. The figure was never malicious or anything, but just stood at the end of aisles watching. The encounters went on for months, and I even took going to a psychiatrist to see if it was a personal issue. I got nothing from the psychiatrist. The encounters continued and started up at home. For clarification, I live in a smaller rural town in southeastern Texas. Is your name Sheldon Cooper? I could see the figure from my windows, just standing in the fields watching. I tried going outside and confronting it, but it would just disappear behind trees or the brush. I changed jobs, and it still is there, always across the street or down the halls, just watching. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm asking for your guys' advice or maybe clues, so I can rid myself of whatever this thing is. I am honestly on the fence of it's something, or it's, like mental health issues. Usually spirits do not come around for years and just watch. But then again, this goes back to kind of the dual sided.
Yep.
It could be either one. It that could happen all the time, and we just don't know it. But for whatever reason, you're able to see it. Um,
Or it's years for us and it's days for them.
True, but
Because we're not sure how that dimensional time thing works.
well, very, very true. But the only thing is if it's an intelligent spirit, which I gotta assume it is,
It's
considering
got to be an intelligent spirit. Yeah.
if it goes out, if he goes out to try to confront it, it ducks behind trees,
Or it leaves.
or
I've had that happen many
or,
times.
or the brush.
Right. I mean, like you go out, like I've had that happen when something showed up in the house and I jump out of bed and go after it, and it just goes out the wall. It just leaves type of thing. So,
Yeah.
it was there. I watched it leave. It didn't want to have a confrontation with me. So it's interesting though that it's been following them that long
And made no attempt at all
of communication.
of communication, of interaction.
Right.
In fact, so it's one of those for me, and this is why I lean towards it's got to be something with mental health. One, you thought it was mental health because you went to a psychiatrist,
Right. But you got a
and
clean bill of health.
well, he said he got nothing from the psychiatrist.
Meaning, I would assume that means clean bill of health. Like I got nothing. Like I don't have any like mental health issues. Like the psychiatrist said that you're fine. That's kind of how I read that. But
I'm sorry. I read it as I got no answers from the psychiatrist, which could be the same type of thing. Like I went in to see if there's something wrong with me and I got nothing.
Right.
From them. So I mean, we could be saying the exact same thing, just in different ways.
Right.
But my other question, and this also leads me, it's some sort of a mental health issue, is in today's society, especially at work, every inch is covered by cameras. So if this thing is appearing and you can see it and it's standing there at the end of the aisle, why has no camera caught it? Or is it specifically between you and this entity? Honestly, my advice, stop trying to confront it, and maybe when you see it, don't go towards it and just start talking to it from where you are. Instead of being like, hey, instead of running after it, just be like, I'd like to talk to you. Is that okay? And see if what it does. Try to interact with it from a distance and see if it will do it. Because obviously the other way isn't helping. But I know that there's a theory out there called the Watchers. I haven't really read too much on it. I don't know if this is one of them or whatever. Again, there could be a watcher standing out in my hallway right now watching me do this show, and I would know. Could that be for all of us? Right. We always talk about the Reapers and how only when you're about to die do you ever get to see them.
Right.
That sort of thing. Is this just one of those instances where you are the only one who's going to be able to see this figure when it shows up? And honestly, I know that it's, I don't want to say upsetting, because it doesn't really seem to so much be upsetting, but it's more confusing. Well, let him do his thing and you do yours. If it's not going to engage you, then you should be perfectly fine. It's probably going to be uncomfortable for a while, but I would just, after 3 years, you think you'd be used to it and just, again, move on with life.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. You're up.
Okay. All right. So I would find this to be very unsettling, and I would be the guy who would constantly be going after it.
Henry
So,
conflicts.
yeah, I would. There's no way I would just be like, yeah, it's okay. You could just follow me around and follow me to my new jobs. F that. I don't want any watcher or any figure, right? I need to know why you're there. If you're like a guardian angel type thing, fantastic. Hang out. Cover my back. Whatever. You need to be there. There's a reason you need to be there. I don't need to understand what that reason is. I'm okay with it. If you're watching out for me because something's going to happen and you're going to prevent that from happening, I'm totally fine with you being around. If you're just a lurker and it's been a couple of years, move on. Go find somebody else. I've had enough. I've seen you enough times. I'm not interested in you being a part of my life. Get the hell out of here. You know, I don't know what you can do in that respect, because if it is a watcher, I don't really know that you can make it go away. It would be frustrating to be constantly trying to approach it and having it disappear or fade away or duck behind something, and then you go look to where it ducked behind and there's nothing there. It would be frustrating, but I would I wouldn't be able to let it go. I would constantly be going after it. So, in that respect, I hope it's a mental health issue and you can work through it somehow, or take some meds and then stop seeing it. If it's really happening, um, I don't really have any advice. I don't know how to get. I wouldn't know how to get rid of something like that, and I don't know if you can get rid of it. And I guess the most important question to me that I would ask would be, does it look the same every time you see it? Is this the same figure every time? Is it the same color? Is it the same shape? Or are you seeing multiple entities, right? Because then if you're seeing multiple entities, at least then we have a door we can open and start exploring what's happening. If it's the exact same thing and you're seeing it multiple times for 3 years and it's the exact same shape, exact same, opaqueness, the exact same color of gray or the shade of black, same form, same distance from you, then you've got an issue and you need some help. And I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a Reaper, because I don't think a Reaper is going to follow you around for 3 years.
No, I was just using that as an example.
Oh, I know you were. I'm just saying, I don't think it's a Reaper. I would think it's more of a lurker or a watcher. And if that's the case, I don't really have an answer as to how you would remove that from your life. That might suck. That would be a bad position to be in. I don't know that you could get used to. I don't know that I could get used to that. I don't know that I could just let it fade. I know you probably could. You'd probably, after a couple of years, you'd just be like, hey, whatever. I don't give a shit. You do whatever you want to.
It probably would take like a month, and after a while, I'd just be like, "What's up?"
Yeah,
and then I just
exactly, and then just go on with whatever you were doing. And 3 years later, 5 years later, I'd still be like, get up out of my chair and walk towards it.
Like, knowing me, thing. I would start hurtling sarcastic comments at it.
Yeah, you probably would.
Like, don't you have anything better to do?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I would do that too, but then I would still get up out of my chair or get up and go and walk towards it. So,
well, I mean, by that time, after a month of it ducking away from you, I think even you would just stop.
I don't know. I don't want to find out.
Well, no, nobody does.
I don't need that experience. I don't want to have to deal with that shit. So I'm too old for that.
But yeah, I'd say if it lets you see it at a distance, then try communicating with it at a distance.
Yeah. I would guesstimate here that it's not anything bad, because if it was something bad, it wouldn't be hanging out for 3 years in your life. It would have already made some sort of attempt to disrupt your life. So if your life is going good, if things are good, if you're happy, if your job's going good, your love life's going good, you're successful in your work, 99% chance that it's not anything bad.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
it's
I
annoying,
mean,
but it's not evil in air quotes.
going on my, starting the year with a nice left field theory.
Yep.
Maybe it's an interdimensional documentarian. You're going to be doing something extraordinary, and it's documenting your life.
There you go.
Who knows?
Does it have a hat? Is he wearing a hat?
Honestly,
Right. That's the first thing I thought of after that.
As I was reading, I'm like, I'm waiting for the hat.
I know.
I'm waiting for the hat.
Yeah, that's the follow-up question. Does it have any type of a hat on? When you see it, is there a hat? Does it look like a boiler hat? Does it look like a,
fedora
cowboy hat? Is there something?
Yeah.
Fedora?
The only thing about that is the hat man typically does not stick around for 3 years.
No, right.
And
he's not at a distance. No,
and
he's
at a
going to approach
distance.
you. Yeah, he's going to come up close and personal.
Yeah.
One of those times. Yeah.
So, I would like to hear more on this.
I would too.
See if it keeps happening, but we shall see.
Yeah, I would too. So, I would like to know too, like you said, with everything being documented and videoed these days, I would like to know if somehow you got a hold of a security tape, if there was actually something like at the end of the aisle that at your job, and you could actually see something there, that'd be very interesting. And it would go a long way to confirm that you're not mental. Okay, moving on. I think something is attached to this doll. Well, of course it is. It's a doll. I mean, right there. End of question. I think I may have found a haunted doll. I was in an old furniture store and the doll was on a bed. I took a picture and then walked away. On the way back by it, I felt an odd pull towards the doll. It almost felt like a little kid was wanting me to come over. And upon further inspection, when I walked back, the doll had moved closer to the edge of the bed. Sadly, I had no time to get another picture. We were the only people in the store, so I know that no one moved it. Any ideas what it was or if it was a haunted doll? Yep, it was a haunted doll. If it moved by itself to the edge of the bed and wanted you to take it home, it was a haunted doll that was not a child. It was not a child's toy. It wasn't a child that wanted to come home with you. And if it was, why the hell would you take home a haunted a child spirit anyway? First of all, there are no such things as child spirits. We're just going to say it. We're going to start 2025 with the truth. There are no such thing as haunted.
Your truth, spirit. Mr. Sawyering, your truth.
My truth. There is no such thing as child spirits. So if there was something attached to this doll, thank the Lord that you didn't take it home, because nothing good would have come from that. Maybe it didn't like the fact you took a picture of it. I would take a look at the picture, see if there's anything going on in the picture. I don't know why you didn't have time to take another picture. If you had time to take one picture, why didn't you have time to take another picture? I mean, was it like cigarette break time? You had to run outside and get a smoke? I don't know. Were you disruptive in the store and the store owner was kicking you out? I mean, what was going on? So just be thankful you didn't take the doll home. Was it haunted? I have no idea. On a serious note here. Was it haunted? Who knows? Did it move by itself? If you didn't see it move by itself, it didn't move by itself. There's a rational answer for it. But you shouldn't buy any doll and take it home from any antique store or old doll. Just let it be. It doesn't need to be in your house. There, I spoke my piece.
I pretty much agree. Whether it's haunted or not, I think is irrelevant. Or whether it moved by itself. I don't know why you got, like, I get the whole strange pull thing, but all of a sudden you're like, I feel it's a small child wants, like, what? Like, that just seems weird. Like that, like you would just suddenly know or have an impression that there's a spirit in this doll. And did you get that impression before you even saw it move. Because yeah, it almost felt like a little kid wanting me to come over, and then upon further inspection. So you got this feeling that it was like a little girl before you even went over there and saw that it had may or may not have moved. And that almost leads me to believe that you primed yourself for it. Like you saw this doll, you're like, that's creepy looking. I wonder if it's haunted. Like you already had that idea in your head. I mean, so much so that you took a photo of it. Who takes a photo of a doll, a random doll in an old furniture store? Like, why? What was so special about this doll that you were like, I gotta take a photo of this and show my friend? Like, why? It's an old doll in an old furniture store.
Mm-hmm.
So
Run away.
Well, that's you. I just
That should be everybody.
again, your truth. But honestly, I think you wanted it to happen so much, like you did this, you did it all to yourself. I don't think there's probably anything at all going on with this doll. I think that I think you just primed yourself and you created this thing and you wanted to believe it so bad. And it could be, somebody walking past the doll, maybe it fell over. I mean, I don't know how the doll was positioned. It could have just been your imagination. Maybe you forgot where it was sitting. Obviously, if you had enough time to open up your camera, look at the photo and compare the two, you had no more time to take the photo again and compare the two.
I'm guessing it was probably on the phone.
Of course.
I would guess so. Right.
That's all.
Not too many people walk around with cameras these days. So I would guess it was like on their phone. And if you had time to take one picture on your phone, you sure as shit had time to take another picture on your phone.
Especially if you're like, this thing moved and I'm going to bring up my old photo that I just took of it to compare the two.
Right. 10 seconds ago. Right.
Yeah. And all of a sudden
30 seconds ago, whatever. Right.
We don't have time to take a photo.
Exactly.
Yeah. You probably walked outside.
Something weird's going on here. I better not document it.
Yeah. You probably took 15 selfies that day. And but not the second photo of this doll.
Of the haunted doll that beckoned you to take it home.
Yeah. So I think it's either A, you made up the story, or two, you psyched yourself out.
You watched Annabelle the night before and you wanted something to happen. And then the employee that you didn't know that was on the floor tidying things up saw you take the picture and make a comment about, doesn't that doll look creepy? And then when you walked down the aisle and went and turned the corner, they ran over and they moved the doll to the edge of the bed and positioned it and then went back to doing what they were doing. And when you walked back, you saw it and freaked out. Because I would do something like that. Like if I was in the store and I heard somebody talking about, oh my God, look at that creepy doll, and they were taking pictures of it, and then they walked away, I would sneak over there and move the doll into a different position and then go back to what I was doing. And then on the chance that you would walk back and show it to somebody and be like, this is the doll. It was sitting up on the pillow before, and now it's hanging on the edge of the bed.
Actually, that whole scenario is incorrect.
Why is
you
that?
wouldn't you would not have done that at all, because there's no way in hell any store that you're like in charge of would have that doll there in the first place.
Oh, well, you're absolutely right there. Yeah. There'd be no doll whatsover.
So that scenario would never have happened. If it's a haunted pickup truck or like a little figurine or something like that.
Oh yeah, if it's a haunted mirror or something, it'd be in the store. But if it's a haunted doll, it ain't going to be in the store.
Exactly. So let's just stick
with
reality
rocking
here.
Chair. Absolutely. I mean, you could have a haunted. I'd have a haunting rocking chair in the store. It'd be great. Somebody just sitting in there rocking back and forth. People think it was like some mechanical thing. No, it's not. So. All right, we got time for one more.
If you want to.
Yeah, let's do one more. Your pick.
Oh, it is my pick, isn't it?
I sent you like 10.
I know.
Today, so.
Let's see here. I'm going to take this one just because, one, I don't like, all right, long shot. But have you ever encountered people who were like you in uncanny ways? Yeah, they're called trendsetters. Hello. This is going to be really hard to describe what I mean, but I'm talking about a person who seems almost like you would be if you had been born in a different body and circumstances, as if they were a different gender, age, race, whatever, but you're running the same software. This has happened to me a handful of times over the years. Sometimes I think about the theory of the human body as a receiver with consciousness being transmitted from elsewhere. Tonight, it just occurred to me, what if the same consciousness was received by more than one individual? That might explain it. I'm not trying to set out a formal declaration or hypothesis, just musing. I think you're thinking too much. I think you're trying to look for things that aren't all that like in. I don't want to say important, but I'll say I'll say important. But people tend to gravitate towards people like themselves. You know, same sense of humor, same morals, same religion, you know, or whatever. A lot of us have the same traits as a lot of other people. And I mean, you're, Dave and I have the same type of sense of humor. We have this, a lot of the same passions. And if you talk to Cena, see, this is one of those times where you just want to hit the add button and pop Cena in.
Right, because she would tell you that we're related, and we have been since the beginning of time.
Well, that we've
been in each other's lives.
Exactly. Yeah. That all of like the people in our past lives come back.
Right.
Like everyone on my paranormal team, I've had past lives with.
Right.
Or maybe not so much this one, the current one, but like when Sam and Haley and Lauren and Scott and Cameron, that a lot of people in my life I have met in past lives, and we gravitate towards each other. We could also go with the theory of the fragmented soul. Maybe it is possible that certain pieces of yourself through time and all of your different all your different pastimes, you started being put into I guess different. You started to become whole, your own person. There we go. And plus, Dave can't wrap his head around this one, but the whole like there's multiple of you in the same lifetime. I think that's what I was just saying, anyways. But
pretty close,
yeah. And that's what you can't wrap your head around, because you want to do a show on that, right?
Yeah, somewhere down the line here in 2025.
Okay. So there's a lot of different things, but I would have to know more so than just your generic wording, like specific examples. Like what I have a lot of people in my life that have the same kind of sense of humor, or the same type of generosity, or whatever, or the same type of morals and ethics and hardworking and stuff like that. I don't think that it's uncanny that happens.
I don't either.
I would think that it would be uncanny if you thought you were a horrible person. and like you're like, I can't believe these people have the same type of morals as I do. Like if you're a good person, you would want to surround yourself with good people, and those good people are going to have the same type of personality, sense of humor, whatever, as you do. So I guess I don't know what makes it uncanny. Maybe I should have started with that. But that's where I'm going to leave it. I just beyond what I said, I don't know what actually makes it uncanny.
All right. So I'm going to take this from a different perspective, right? So this individual is kind of saying, I'm visualizing this gigantic transmitting dish is sending out a beacon, and they're saying that this beacon's going to hit X amount of people, and those X amount of people are all going to be the same. And I don't think that that is true. I think that human consciousness is like a snowflake. No two are alike. What would explain the meeting somebody who is very similar to you is just like Mike was explaining, is just similar lifestyles, right? If you grew up in a very similar situation at and people that were, you know, within roughly the same age of you, and you grew up in the same household, and you know, let's just say you had great parents that loved you, you sat down to dinner every night at the kitchen table, you had personal great values because your parents did, and you grew up and you listened to them, and you had loving grandparents, and you had a great life, and you know, and everything was just really nice. And then you met other people that had values like you have, and as you got to know them, they were raised the exact same way. That does not make you a duplicate. You don't have the same consciousness. You're just similar. That's all. So I'm gonna take this, and I'm glad you picked this one, because I'm gonna move on to something that I've been thinking about. So we talk about frequency all the time. We talk about vibrational levels all the time, right? Demonic spirits, negative entities have a low vibrational level. High angels, guardian angels, higher, like how do I word this the right way? Human individuals that have abilities usually have a higher vibrational level. People that can help other people have a higher vibrational level. So if that's the case, could that vibrational level be likened to a frequency, like we talk about with binaural audio, right? So let's just say that there is a frequency that certain people can hear or can understand that other people can't understand. And what if that frequency allows you to experience paranormal things? It'd be a very simple answer to the fact that people say, I've never had a paranormal experience in my life and I don't believe in it, and ghosts aren't real, and there is no afterlife, and the earth is flat, and God doesn't exist. Right? That group of people. And then you'd have the group of people that for the past 3 years have seen a shadow figure down the aisle from them. The same group of people that are sitting on their bed and feel something sit down next to them. Right? The same group of people that see a pair of legs walking across the floor in a basement. The same people that hear the lady say, have a seat, dear. Right? I mean, so is there a frequency that we're tuned into, that certain people are tuned into, where we experience things that other people can't experience?
It goes right along. It goes right along the line.
That's a good question for a show down the road.
Yeah,
Is there a frequency that, like, is that a possible explanation for people that don't experience things and people that experience things?
probably. Because I was just about to say, it goes right along my theory of when people are asking questions, do the frequency of their voice
Right.
matter?
Right.
You know, when I talk and ask a question, can they actually hear me? As opposed to Scott, who's got a different tone and a
Right.
different frequency to his voice.
Right.
Can they hear Scott and Cameron more than they can hear me?
Right.
That sort of thing.
I know that as far as EVPs go, when you catch an EVP, it's in a frequency range that the human ear can't perceive, which is why we don't usually hear EVPs live, right? Now, you and I both know we've heard disembodied voices, right? I mean, multiple times I've heard disembodied voices, intelligent responses, somebody answering a question, something answering a question that is in the room with us, that is listening to us, that understands what we're talking about and has responded to us and actually said it so that I could hear them. But that is a rare occurrence. That does not happen very frequently. Usually it's caught on an EVP, and it's caught on a digital recorder or on a cassette, going back to old school, because the frequency of that voice is outside the range of human hearing. Because we hear 20 to 20, that's what they say. Although I'm deaf on the high end. I don't hear the high ends anymore. But it's interesting, too many concerts. But it's interesting to think that maybe there is something to do with frequency. And I've been thinking more and more and more about that. We're gonna have to explore that down the road this year, because I really think, and I'm really disappointed, like that Skinwalker Ranch hasn't done more with sound. Forget the missiles, forget the rockets, forget the laser light shows and the drones, right? You've had phenomenal things happen when you're doing sound work on the ranch. Why aren't you doing more sound work? It just makes me, it's just one example. I'm not saying that they need to run out and do that. It's just one example. I think that tonal frequency, I think that that's a legitimate thing, and I don't know, I could be completely insane and way off course, or I could have just nailed it.
I think you're way off course, not in your thinking, just in your where you're going from where you were.
Yeah, probably.
Shall we get to hour 2, Dave?
Yeah, let's get to hour 2. I think, but we're going to explore that more as we move forward this year, because I think I think there's something there. I think that
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think frequency has something to do with it. Maybe that'd be a good question for like Kathy when we have Kathy back on this year.
Gotcha. All right.
Or Cena,
let's
or Jody. Be interested what Jody thinks about that too.
Perhaps. All right. Let's get to your stupid drones.
Drones. They're not stupid.
They're stupid. I hate these. I hate the story. Whatever.
All right. So before we get there, I want to start with the other thing first. So we'll end with drones. So okay. So I've been seeing this more and more frequently. And it just rubs me the wrong way, and so I need to talk about it. People that go to locations that are haunted, all right, I understand there needs to be rules and regulations, right? There needs to be some guidelines. If I owned a haunted location, pick your favorite, right? Waverly, Farrar, Eastern State Penitentiary, West Virginia Penitentiary, whatever. I don't care. Go wherever you want to go. But there needs to be guidelines as far as what you should and shouldn't do, as far as what energy you're bringing in there. Don't bring a Ouija board. Don't try to do conjuring. Don't do witchcraft and try to open a portal or a hole. But those are, for the most part, those are logical things. Those are things that common sense would tell you not to do when you're going to a location that's had a ton of tragedy or a ton of negative energy. But this one kind of got me as I was kind of just reading through things. And so this individual, and I'm not going to name who it is, went to the Conjuring house. And that's a whole can of worms in itself. But so the Conjuring house, right? They went there. They didn't have any real experiences. They said that their daughter saw maybe something out of the corner of her eye, but other than that, nothing really happened, right? So they did the tour, learned a lot about the house and story, read the book about the parents, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to read this verbatim. At one point, I noticed money everywhere, on tables, on the mantle, etc. The guide explained that it was so the spirits don't follow you home. Okay, I'm going to read that again. So I noticed money everywhere, on the tables, the mantle, etc. The guide at the Conjuring house explained that it was so spirits don't follow you home. To which I said, sorry, spirits, I'm broke. All right. After the tour, we were allowed to go on our own inside, blah, blah, blah. They went in the basement. They did this. They did that. They went all around the house. Nothing creepy. She said, she goes on to say, I wish I had put $1 down and donated it to the spirits, because we've had nothing but bad luck hit our house. And after talking with many paranormal investigators, they agreed it was probably an attachment. And I'm shaking my head and rolling my eyes for those of you who are listening and not watching this. I'm just going to read these. Husband and I in an accident in the parking lot. T-boned by somebody running a red light. Husband hospitalized with kidney failure. This is November 11th. Husband and I accident in a parking lot. 10 grand worth of damage. That's a lot of damage in a parking lot. I mean, what were you doing? 150 miles an hour through Target?
Maybe they had a Bentley.
Jesus Christ. December 8th, T-boned by somebody running a red light, hit my Jeep. It was a total write-off. Whiplash injury incurred. December 14th, husband hospitalized with kidney failure. We all got sick with the flu, drained, no energy, no cough or stomach issues, just could not get out of bed. December 25th, husband back in the hospital. December 26th, daughter was rammed by a drunk driver and the vehicle was stolen. Destroyed her Jeep. She was hurt again with whiplash and pain and bruising and a leg issue. Spent the day in the hospital. Had somebody tell me to bless the house and had people say prayers. We did, and now it's quiet. I'm not going to say what I want to say, but I'm going to say this.
Say what you want to say, just leave out the expletives.
That's what I can't do, because I can't say it without expletives in there. The fact that you did not leave $1 at the Conjuring house had absolutely nothing to do with your string of bad luck. And I don't know what paranormal investigators you spoke to, but you did not bring home an attachment from the Conjuring house because you didn't leave money. The only reason that you would have brought home an attachment from the Conjuring house is because you were an ass at the Conjuring house and did something that pissed off a spirit at the house, and they followed you home because they were angry at what you did, and they caused your life to be disrupted in a negative way. But leaving money had nothing to do with it. And this is the dumbest thing that I have seen in probably the last decade. And I know I'm going to talk about this more and more and more, but I'm going to let it rest for now, and I'm let you throw your 2 cents in there, because shit like this is just the reason why the legitimate paranormal investigators have a hard time like having intelligent conversations with outside of our group with people, because of shit like this. It's just stupid. And stop leaving money. Spirits don't need money. Good God. Unless you're at the house and you don't leave $1, and you get stopped at the door, and you can't walk through the door, and you turn around, and there's an entity there with its hand out, then throw a 5 spot in the hand. Throw a fin right in that hand and say, sorry. I had other things on my mind. Here's $5, right? Use it wisely.
Yeah. If it's the holiday season and you walk up to the Conjuring house and there's a 300-year-old spirit ringing a Salvation Army bell,
right?
Then
throw it in the kettle.
Throw it in the kettle.
Right. Throw $20 in the kettle. Absolutely.
When Dave first sent this to me, he's like, I want to talk about this. And at first I didn't know exactly why, like what your angle was. And so my response was just simply like, is it to talk about how the fact that spirits are not going to try to exploit you for money?
Yeah, partly. Yeah.
Because here's my thing. This is new. Like if you go back to the previous owners and back from when, it was even allowed to be investigated, money was never an issue. Like there was no, like, you need to leave $1 or you won't be an attachment. It's not until this current non-paranormal type person bought the house that everything with the Conjuring house has gone to shit. And it's because it's being turned into not a historical location where people come in and interact with the spirits there. It's become, we need money. And that's our goal. We need profit. We need money. I would not doubt for a second that all of the money like disappears at the end of the day or the end of the week and gets divided up between the staff, as tips. Money has nothing to do with anything dealing with the paranormal. You will never find a single effing place around the entire world where a spirit is like, you need to leave me money or I'm going to haunt you and ruin your life. Never. You're never going to find that anywhere except obviously the Conjuring house. Now, Dave and I have talked about curses before, which is what this seems to be, and how curses are very, very often self-inflicted. So you went here. It's kind of like the people taking the wood from the forest. They take it home. All of a sudden, bad luck starts to happen, or one bad thing happens, and it starts this spiral of you doing it to yourself because you're under the belief that you are now. I mean, you're obviously part of the paranormal. You started your story by the fact that you went to a convention, saw all of these great people. You went to the Conjuring house. You obviously, you say you talked to it. So you have all this paranormal background. So you got into one accident, which happens. It happens. People get into accidents all the time. Every day, people get into accidents. But you took it and you're like, oh my God, bad things are now happening. What could this be? Why did this happen? And now you started going down the road. I mean,
going down the rabbit hole.
Almost all of these are, I mean, your husband has medical issues. People can have medical issues and over again. I mean, you won't believe how many people, like one person gets the flu and then the whole household gets the flu. Right. Or a cold. I'm like, all of these
COVID when you don't have any energy and get out of bed, but you're not puking, right? Because you don't puke from COVID.
Yeah, chances are you probably had COVID, not the flu.
Right. You just get your ass knocked down, because I've had it, where you can't get out. You just don't have the energy to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and a drunk driver in a stolen vehicle is going to hit somebody. I think that's just a guarantee. That's just going to happen. I'm sorry it was your daughter.
It's going to hit something. Yes.
Yeah. So, and again, you obviously have a lot of things with Jeeps. Jeeps are terrible.
Obviously you like Jeeps.
None of this, like nothing here says like we had activity in our home or doors are opening and closing, or we were seeing figures at the end of none of this has anything to do with the paranormal. And I think you're attributing this to the paranormal because it all happened after you went to the Conjuring house.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Dave says there's no such thing as coincidences. I'm going to say right here, this is a coincidence that this happened. I don't think you even had an attachment. I think the paranormal investigators that you're talking about are probably ghost hunters and think every single thing probably has a paranormal explanation to it. Oh, you went to the Conjuring house and you didn't leave $1? Oh my God, you must have an attachment. Because that's
You're
what
insane. I can't believe
because
you didn't leave money. What were you thinking? You
because
might as well
that's
just
what
light yourself on fire.
I would like the documentation of why that's a thing. Like, why can this tour guide say if you don't leave, people leave money so they don't get followed home? Where did that even come from?
Greed.
Well,
Human greed.
well, right. I know that that's the actual answer,
Right.
but I'm saying, what is the paranormal basis to that claim?
Absolutely nothing.
That's what I want to know. I want to know the
Right.
paranormal basis to that claim.
Absolutely nothing.
Who had an attachment from the Conjuring house, and you got an EVP that said should have left money.
Right. I want to hear it.
I did too. Like, I want to know
Right.
where that came from.
Right.
And, I mean,
Like, I'm going to go there and I'm not going to leave money. And I guarantee you, I'm not going to have an attachment. I'm just going to walk in the door, walk around the house, take a few pictures, walk out. I guarantee you, and I'm not going to leave any money. And I guarantee you, I will not have an attachment. Now, if I walk in the house and I do something like this, and I'm going to read this, had a similar issue at the Hinsdale house. Had been there several times and wanted to push the experience. So I wore a priest outfit and was playing a Latin exorcism out loud. Within the next few months, I was sick. Totaled my car, hitting a deer. My father-in-law passed away, and 2 of my pets died. Again,
I'm not laughing at the people that these things die. I'm laughing at the
right. No. I understand that. Right. And I think our listeners are intelligent enough to understand that too. That is a perfect example of you getting your ass handed to you by a spirit that didn't like the shit you did when you went to a place that was haunted. If I were a spirit and I was at the Hinsdale house, and I don't even think the Hinsdale house is haunted, to be honest with you. I think it's whatever. I don't want to criticize the Hinsdale house. I've never been there.
Yeah, I've
never been there, so I'm not going to say anything negative about it. All right. So anyway, I think if you went to any haunted location, if I was a spirit that, let's just say that I was at Eastern State Penitentiary and I was a really bad individual, right? Killed women and children just for the pleasure of it, tortured animals, whatever. Okay. And I was just a really, really bad human being. And you walked into my cell and you made some comment about how I wasn't such a bad guy or wasn't a tough guy or, you know, something along those lines. You said something derogatory about me.
Or you dressed up like a guard and, you know, tried
right,
to
exactly.
pretend you were giving him a rectal exam.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And you came in with your nightstick and said you were going to kick my ass, beat me with a nightstick like you normally do. You know, I might take offense to that. And I might follow you home. And if I was a bad individual in life and I still carried those traits with me and I had not moved on for whatever reason, but I didn't like you because of what you did, I might follow you home and I might disrupt your life if I had the ability to do it. I might cause you to have illnesses and sicknesses. And if I had the ability to affect things you loved, I might kill your pets. That might happen. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It could happen. But you asked for it to happen because you walked into the house in a priest outfit playing a Latin exorcism. You are provoking the shit out of whatever is there. That is an experience. That right there is an example of, yes, could something negative happen to you? Sure, it could. Could you have a string of bad luck after something like that? Sure, it could. But because you didn't leave $1 at the Conjuring house, Are you going to have bad luck? Absolutely not. And I can't even believe that somebody took the time to write about that.
No, I mean, well,
It's it's the 15 minutes of fame in our society again.
I don't even know if it's that. I just think it's the people who they want to believe in the paranormal so much that they're willing to take anything. I mean, this is why, I've always said that, it's the way you handle yourself in an investigation that makes you an investigator. Because
Correct.
I actually I went to a buddy of mine. I used to be a former investigator of mine. Him and I share the same birthday, so I went to his party, and he brought over one of his relatives to meet me, and saying how interested he is in the paranormal. And I was really impressed with the guy because he says, "I don't think I'd have the gonads to do it." And I'm like, "Thank you for being like uh, not self-appreciating, but I mean like self-realization."
Yeah.
That you know that this
Self-realization.
is not for you. And because anything that happened, if it has any sort of you have a thought in your head that it's paranormal, it's instantly going to be paranormal. It's why everything's a demon, even though it's not, because people want it to be so badly. And I don't know if it's so much of 15, the 15 minutes of fame, but I think this was a self-grandizing, look what happened to me because of the paranormal type of story or gripe.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, I can't say that this person obviously didn't deserve any of this bad luck. She didn't. Nobody does. But the person who walked into the Hinsdale house, as you said, got what he was asking for and got it raised up to 10.
Right.
I mean, Dave and I, for almost 8 years now, have preached, be careful what you ask for. You're going to get it.
Right.
And I think when we say that, people think like, oh, I'll get pushed or I'll have a scratch. And like, no, they will F your life up if
Right.
you do it too badly.
And if
If,
they
if
could
you,
kill you, they will. Right. If they're that angry and they're that powerful and they want to negatively affect you in a way like that, cause you to have a heart attack. We've talked about this in the past too. Right. Nobody's ever died from the paranormal. Bullshit. They haven't. That's a total lie.
unfortunately, yes, they have.
Yeah, they have. Right. People die of heart attacks and say that there's no way that a powerful entity hasn't taken a human life before. Absolutely, they have. Is it documented? No, because we're not looking for that. But has it happened? Absolutely, it has. You'd be stupid to think that it didn't.
They're one of my favorite unsolved mysteries, called the Hope Curse. I think it's what the
It's a
Black
whole
Hope
planet.
Curse. The Black Hope Curse.
Okay.
Um, and it takes place in California, I believe, something like that. But anyway, they had a huge string of bad luck. There was a plot. They knew people were buried in the backyard, and they couldn't get anything to grow. And no matter how much they filled in, uh, like this plot of land, it would sink to like an impression of a coffin.
Where did you see this on?
It's Unsolved Mysteries.
I think I saw this episode.
I think I probably showed it to you.
I think you probably did. Yeah, because it sounds
Yeah,
very familiar.
yeah. And they couldn't get the city to do anything because they had no proof that there were bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So the owner's daughter, perfectly healthy, 32-year-old, I think, maybe even younger than that, was like, fine, I will show, and started digging a hole, and within a couple hours had a heart attack and died.
Yep.
So yeah, it happens.
It happens. Absolutely.
I mean,
And I just want to say the person who posted this, I'm looking at their page. There's pictures of dust particles taken with a camera, and they're talking about this, how this experience, like that was like a ghost that they were interacting with, and it's clearly dust particles taken out in a field. So
Well,
there are orbs. We have seen orbs.
We have seen orbs, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw orbs at one of my favorite locations that I took Mike to, that Mike loves now too. So I mean, we've taken pictures there. There's clearly there was one that somebody who didn't like me because I was being a little vocal, and there's a picture of a ball of energy with clearly a lady's face in it that is pissed off at me. It happens, you know.
So speaking of, we're going to move on to another story.
Yeah,
it's already 11:35.
Yeah.
So, but sticking with the whole, just you need to be careful of what you're doing. So this actually happened right at the end of the year. One of my friends posted it, and I didn't read it until now.
Yeah. I saw it. It showed up in my feed the day it happened, actually.
Yeah. So 2 men out in Portland, Oregon. They're out in the woods searching for Sasquatch.
I think it was the day after Christmas. Or Christmas Eve.
They started the investigation on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
After they were
Christmas Eve.
They'd been missing for 3 days.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So they went out looking for Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And after 3 days, one of the relatives, after these 2 men did not come home, reported them missing and launched a huge search in the Gifford Picoti, National Forest. You're gonna have to excuse me my pronunciation, but they had 60 volunteers. They went out, including drones and a Coast Guard helicopter. All went out searching for him. Found the 2 men, passed away, and the statement was that both deaths appear to be due to exposure based on weather conditions and ill preparedness, which goes to me
right there.
Which leads me to believe that these guys are like, you know what, I think this would be really cool to do. Let's go out and try this. Like that, it's not that they're not woodsmen. They're not campers, or they would have checked the weather and dressed appropriately or brought the correct stuff. 37 and 59 were their ages. So I mean, no matter what you do, whether it's cryptid, whether it's supernatural, whether it's you're looking for UFOs, if you don't know what you're doing, either A, don't do it, or B, go out with people who do. Go out with well-camped people. I don't even know
an outdoorsman.
An outdoorsman. There we go. Thank you.
Right.
That was the word I was looking for. The outdoorsman. Go out with an outdoorsman. Go with a tracker. Go with somebody who's done it many, many times and understands the need to dress appropriately, or you're not going to make it back. But here's the bottom thing. The last couple, 2 paragraphs, I thought were really interesting. It has nothing to do with these guys' death, which obviously is tragic and it should not have happened. Let me read this to you. There have been so many alleged sightings of Sasquatch that some communities have taken measures to protect the hairy mythical creature. In Skamania County, I think that's how you pronounce it, Skamania.
Yeah, that's County, up in Washington.
Yeah, which is where these deaths happened, where the pair went missing. A person could get a year in jail or a $1,000 fine if one of the folklore creatures is harmed. So if people were to come back with a dead Bigfoot with a shot in his head, they would be put in jail and fined for it. I love it. I'm sorry, you just looked like you were reading something.
I was. Sorry.
Oh. I wanted a reaction, Dave, and I didn't
get it. All right. Say it again. Sorry.
Holy crap. You didn't even hear me?
No. I did.
Wow.
I got fixated on something after you said the county.
Wow.
Sorry.
It's all right. You just missed the most important part of the whole.
I did miss the most important part because I saw you glance at me like you were waiting for a response, and I
I
didn't
was, yeah.
give
And
you a response.
you were
All
just,
right,
anyway,
replay.
in
Rewind.
Skamania County,
Yes.
where the pair went missing,
Yes.
a person could get a year in jail or a $1,000 fine if one of the folklore creatures is harmed. They put laws into place to protect Bigfoot.
I think that's fair.
I think that's amazing.
I think that's great. Because right there, they're admitting to the fact that they believe that they exist.
Very true.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a total, we're protecting this species from people who want to go out and harm them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm just going to say, like I've said 100 times, probably 1,000 times, right? You're not going to see Bigfoot unless Bigfoot wants you to see him.
Yep.
And you're not going to experience a ghost unless a ghost wants you to see him, unless it's residual and you just happen to be in the right place at the right time. But you're not going to have an intelligent interaction with a spirit unless there's a reason why it wants to interact with you.
Mm-hmm. Good
right?
or bad.
Good or bad, right? I mean, it's just, interaction. So, I think, with Bigfoot being an interdimensional being, and I know that's my personal view on it, but that's kind of how I feel, is that's why you don't find any remains. And that's why, people are like, well, there's no bones. Well, how do you know? I mean, there's only a handful of them. And, there's hundreds of millions of acres of really rugged terrain. I mean, how do you know? Maybe it's like the elephant graveyard. Like, we never knew there was an elephant graveyard until somebody stumbled upon it, right? Where elephants in the wild go to the same spot to die, which is very interesting in itself. Not paranormal, but very interesting. And maybe Bigfoot's the same way. Maybe there's a Bigfoot graveyard, and maybe someday we will find it. Maybe someday somebody will haphazardly stumble upon it, and then it's going to be earth-shattering. The only problem with that is somebody's going to swoop in and collect all the remains, and there won't be any proof for the public, because that's just the way society is. It'll be in some museum somewhere at the Smithsonian in the basement, tucked away in a box. That's just how it'll be. Like, we'll never actually see it. Like, it won't be on display like the Titanic. It won't be touring the country.
Hold on. I'm sorry, man. I'm not laughing at what you were saying. Sorry. I still had up the Conjuring house story on my thing, and I was kind of just meanderingly scrolling down. And I thought this was 2 weeks ago. So somebody said, sadly, the house is closed to the public now.
I saw that too.
Did you read the subsequent ones, the ones that came after?
No.
So I heard that some tours were happening, but new owner is a little bit strange. Pretty sure the new owners are possessed. You should see the video of the owner getting pulled over for the DUI.
Oh my God.
I saw it. There is definitely something wrong with her. Where can you see that video? I was so sad when they sold the home. I thought the daughter in it, blah, blah, blah. And then I guess there is actually body cam footage on YouTube of the Conjuring house owner getting arrested. DUI.
Is this the same lady that was going head to head with Jay?
I think so. I didn't hear, because that was a woman too, and I didn't hear that.
If people don't know, that Jason Hawes, from Taps, this lady was attacking him, blaming him for things that were going on at the Conjuring house.
Well, not only that, but like Satori, his daughter, and Cody, they were tour guides there.
Yeah,
and she just absolutely. There is a show, you could find it. I believe it's on YouTube. You can find it on Jay's page. If you want to go back, this is probably a year and a half ago now, but he had like a 2 hour show like a live show that he did that I watched that had Satori and Cody and Jason and a couple of the other tour guides from the Conjuring house, just talking about that whole debacle and what you said, like the owner just blaming them for everything and lying, and Jason is just like, I got the text messages, lady. He's like,
no, he posted them on his, because I actually read them.
And he reads them and posts them, and yeah, it's I never heard that she resold it, so I think it's probably the same owner.
Probably the same person.
Yeah. So yeah, you might want, even though it's not necessarily open to the public, I would just stay clear of the Conjuring house for a while. Maybe give the spirits there a little time to spend their money on Amazon.
Yeah, they go shopping, right? Pick up some pizza and beer on a Friday night.
Yeah. So if you guys show up to the Conjuring house for a tour and there's like 4 or 5 Amazon packages on the doorstep, fine, leave them $1.
Yeah.
But chances are you're not going to find that.
Well, it'd be interesting if you can even get in there.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right.
When it reopens.
And here's the interesting thing too, right? I have seen a lot of film footage from the Conjuring house. And I think that I legitimately believe that when the parents were there, that something happened to the mom. I do believe that. There's just too many eyewitness claims. Other people were there and saw it. The Warrens were there. They witnessed it happen. There were other people there, witnessed it happen. Things happening that documented those things happening. Again, I think that whatever was there specifically for that person, for the mother. I don't know that necessarily that the Conjuring house is still haunted. You know what I mean? Like, I think that at any location, at any time, if there's an entity in the area, if for some reason you do something that draws in an entity, and then that entity doesn't like you, or you conjured it, so to speak, right?
Way to play on the words there.
Play on the words, right? You conjured this thing to be there, and then it shows up, and you were supposed to fulfill something and you didn't. This thing's going to screw with your life, and maybe that's what happened. But I don't think, after watching the documentary on the Conjuring house, absolutely nothing happened. After watching the house, and I don't even want to say what house it was, but you know what I'm talking about, where the ball fell down the stairs.
Yes.
12 years or whatever it was, 12 years of investigating that house. And they've got like 2 things that are paranormal after 12 years. The house isn't haunted. It's not haunted, right? If you want to go someplace that has activity, that's haunted, we could tell you some places where you could go that are haunted, where you know legitimately there's activity there and spirits there. Go to West Virginia State Penitentiary, right?
Yeah,
that place is haunted. If you're up in Rush City, go to the hotel. Right? That place has activity.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places that do, and I'm sure that Waverly does too. But when you go to places like that, where there was a lot of death, like Waverly, and a lot of things happening and experimental type of medical procedures, I think that leaves a stain. And we've talked about that many times too on the show, is that there's a stain that's left because of stuff like that. I think that, and I can't remember, it's the one in Michigan, the big hospital in Michigan, where they were one of the first places to do lobotomies. I think that at a location like that, there's going to be a lot of residual energy. And I think there's going to be some intelligent energy left there as well. So that's going to be a haunted location. I don't know that a place like the Conjuring house, I just think the Conjuring house, because of the movie, was made into something more than it really was. For the guy and his wife that bought it, that wanted to live there with their kids, and then they couldn't because things were happening, and then their kids couldn't take it. I don't know. Maybe it happened. Maybe it didn't. Maybe there is something there. Maybe it didn't like that family moving in. I don't know. Maybe it's affecting the current owner. Maybe why she seems to be nuts is because whatever's there is making her nuts. So maybe it is haunted. Who knows? Maybe it is a powerful spirit. They say it's a witch. Is it or isn't? I don't know. Never been there. But we don't have time to hit the drones like I want to hit. So what else do we want to talk about? We'll do drones another time. Because we can't do it all in 10 minutes.
Well, actually, we have 14 minutes. Because we started late.
Okay. So we'll hit drones then. So I'm sure that anybody who's listening has heard about what's happening out in New Jersey. It started in New Jersey. Now it's in New York. It's in Pennsylvania. It's in Ohio. That these unmanned drones, some as big as SUVs, are running rampant for the most part, all over the place, flying over military installations, flying, disrupting air traffic, closing down airports, and stuff like that. And at first, it was thought to be just a group of hobbyists that were kind of screwing around. And now that the FBI was involved, and the FBI got involved probably about a month ago, maybe a little over 6 weeks ago, something like that. And a lot of the FAA obviously is involved. There's other government agencies, the agencies that are funded with taxpayer dollars that you don't have initials for, that we don't know about, but they're involved to try and figure out what's going on. The newest theory is that it's China and that they're Chinese drones and that they're launching them from submarines in the Atlantic Ocean and blah, blah, blah. I don't know that that's the case. I've seen some of the footage. I've been watching a lot of it just to see. Some of it just looks like drones, like what you would think was a hobbyist drones. And then there's other ones that are large. There's transparent balls. Like they're just, they look like a big beach ball. And they're clear, but they have lights inside of them. So I don't know how that doesn't look like any drone I've ever seen. And it's pretty clear footage.
So it's a giant cat ball?
Yeah, it's like a giant cat ball, right? Like the ones, that you use, and that other people use, right? So roll that ball or whatever, and if it moves and the lights inside flash, that's what it looks like, except it's up to scale, it's big, it's a big ball. But the thing that I found very interesting, that really sparked my kind of curiosity into this, was the interview that I sent you, where the guy who was the Navy pilot who caught the I don't know if he was the one who caught the Tic Tac video, but he was the one who shot the pendulum video, the one where the thing is turning, it looks like a top and it's turning, and they're talking about how it's spinning and the speed it's going. If it were to make those maneuvers, basically, if there was a human inside there, you'd just be mush, because it would just disintegrate you. That Navy pilot started asking questions about what's going on, and there's an interview with him online that about what he thought was happening, and he said that he reached out to individuals that are in the know and that that they're trying to track these things. They have been, and they're not able to track them using like our technology that we have right now. So they don't show up on infrared. They don't show up on heat sensing. They don't show up in different filters like what you saw the Tic Tac and the pendulum when they caught those on their the Navy fighter pilots' cameras, which have the highest technology we have, or at least that we know of. So he said that you can, and obviously you can see them with the naked eye, but they don't show up on anything else. So that right there, I don't understand that. Something's going on with that. Number two, I've never seen a drone that could fly from 10 miles out in the ocean to Ohio and back without some sort of self-propulsion system, right? There's no battery that lasts that you could fly 10 hours. You can't fly a drone for 10 hours. You can't fly a drone for 800 miles. We don't have the technology, or at least we don't know that we have the technology.
So I mean, now
I'm sorry, I just need a drink of water. So that would mean that has to have a self-propulsion system, is what he talked about. And I agree with him. If it has a self-propulsion system, then it has to put out some sort of heat. Any type of engine, any type of mechanical thing puts out some type of heat signature. Even if it's the most efficient motor in the world, it's going to put out some type of heat signature. And these things are not putting out heat signatures. So I scratched my head. Is this first contact?
With drones? No.
I don't think they're drones. I don't know. They're calling them drones. I haven't seen them with my naked eye, obviously. I'm interested. If I had the time, I would go out there for a week or two and kind of explore it myself and check it out myself. Is it a combination of things? Is it like a few hobbyist type drones, and then these plasma balls, these giant balls with color in them? I mean, they're not drones in the typical sense. If it is first contact, which I'm not dismissing that it's not, I think it could be. I think part of it could be. I'm curious to see what the next step is.
Is it even happening anymore?
I don't know. That's a good question. The holidays came and I got all Christmassy.
Well,
and I've been focusing on positive things.
Well, exactly. But one, I would say first contact, should it be that, would be positive. But
I would think so.
But I'm surprised that you like the part that of this guy's interview where he's talking about this wasn't even remotely like, everything that you've talked about here, where they're coming from. It was the fact that he said that this has been happening for years.
Yeah.
He said it started a couple years ago.
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks before Christmas.
Yep.
I can't remember the military base, but for like 2 or 3 weeks around Christmas,
yep,
they got bombarded by drones.
Right. They've been documenting this happening for years. Right.
Exactly.
And it has not made the public's eye because they didn't say anything about it.
Well, and it was localized to this base.
Right.
So I mean, I guess you could consider it military.
Right.
It's a military problem.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. It's a security issue.
Well, then after 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it was,
they went away. Yeah.
They went away. They just stopped.
Yeah.
And then the next year, 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas, they showed up again.
Right.
And that's what I find interesting in this. I don't find interesting the fact that they can't figure out where they're coming from or whether they're Chinese or what. It's the fact that this is happening for at least the last 3 years.
Right.
And now it's expanding, because not only does it include the military base, but now people are seeing them obviously over.
Right.
And
It's on the rivers. It's going up and down that river system. And I don't remember the river, but if you look it up, you'll see it. It's in New Jersey. It's like that river seems to be some sort of highway or hotspot. And it's disrupting the airports now, and where it wasn't disrupting airports in the past.
Mhm.
But they've had to shut down airports because of potential, accidents or whatever from a plane hitting one of these drones.
Yeah.
There's no way that we have not scrambled some F-14s.
Apparently not.
We have. There's absolutely no way we haven't.
Well,
There's
I would
no
think
way
that
they didn't send out some Blackhawks with high-tech gear to take one of these things out
you would have
and knock it down.
1,000 camera phones, getting thing of the F-14 flying down to try to take out a
You
drone.
would think so, right? You would think so.
There would be some report. There would be something somewhere. Somebody be talking about the F-14 or the Black Hawk helicopter that
They got
flew over my
scrambled.
neighborhood,
Right, yeah.
and you're not.
So
they're not.
go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, so they're not attempting to take him down. I mean, that was one of the big things of, this person. Oh, they should start taking him down or whatever. And they're like, they're not. They're studying them. They're letting them do their thing. They're trying to track them.
So here's the question then: why? If it's a security threat, if these things are flying over military installations, like important military installations, and if they're disrupting airports and shutting airports down, why are we not doing something to capture a few? There's dozens of them, right?
Mhm.
It's not just one. I'm not going to say hundreds. Maybe it is hundreds, but there's dozens and dozens of these things that are seen, or were anyway, being seen nightly, all over the place. Now, it's kind of turned into a little bit of a shit show with people all over the place taking footage of airplanes and stuff and going, "Oh my God, look at it's happening here in Hawaii too, and northern Washington. Look at this," and it's just an airplane. Okay,
I was about to point that out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that, but the stuff that's happening along that river and at that military base and at the airport that's documented, that you can watch online, that is shot, that's legitimately, there are things that are in the air that are flying around in a pattern such as an airplane could not fly. So they're obviously something other than that. It's not an airplane, or at least not an airplane that we know of. I don't think it's an airplane anyway, but then my question becomes, and this goes to what Cena said, because I asked her about it. She said that it's the government doing it to basically scare us. It's the next step of, a lot of people thought that COVID, even though COVID was real, I know there's the people out there, the anti-vaxxers, that don't think COVID wasn't real. Well, I got it. And there's a lot of dead people that'll tell you that it's real too, the people that passed away from it. And a lot of people that have lingering effects from what they call long COVID. But was that intentionally released? Was COVID intentionally released as a way to scare the population and to see how far they could go as far as controlling the population, right? Don't go to work, 6 feet apart, stay at home. We'll pay you to stay at home because we don't want this to turn into an epidemic. I don't know. It's a good conversation for a conspiracy theorist. Cena said this is the next step, that this is the government doing it. If they are, what's the purpose? Right? It kind of makes sense in the fact that they're not doing anything about it. I don't understand why nobody's doing anything about it. I don't understand why some local person, there's got to be somebody out there who's sitting in a lawn chair with a 12-gauge shotgun, drinking a 6-pack on the river, waiting for one of those things to fly by so he can blast it out of the sky. There's just, there is. This is America. There's somebody out there who's going to do that. The question is why hasn't that happened yet? And why haven't we shot one down? Why haven't we taken one out so we can look at it and see what the hell it is? Supposedly, from what I've heard, they have tried that and these things just disappear. Like they go to get them, they've gone to capture them or to take them out and knock one down, take it out of the sky, shoot it down, however you want to phrase it. And when they go after it, right as they're about to approach it and take it out, it just disappears. That's not a drone. So, in the sense of a drone, like a man-made mechanical drone, because they don't just disappear.
Hold on here.
Okay.
Because we're out of time.
All right. So I told you we shouldn't have got into this conversation.
Well, I didn't know. I can see that.
So
maybe we'll move this over to next week's show, but in lieu of like a listener story or something like that. But let me just say 3 quick things.
Yeah.
One, let's not forget that we did multiple shows on the whole secret invasion thing.
Right.
So if you want to talk about the next step into scaring people, here you are, because it was supposed to already happen and it hasn't.
Right. Very true.
So maybe they held back and they decided to do it a different way, and now here we are.
Right. Potential.
There is a new theory out there where all of these drones are holographic. They're holographic drones.
That'd be interesting.
We can talk about that later, but
I guess that would explain why you can't track them.
Can't track them, can't shoot them. They just disappear.
Right. So you just turn off the projector.
And how they can get from the Atlantic all the way to Ohio without battery. So anyway, with that said, we'll continue this conversation sadly later in another episode.
Somewhere in 2025.
Somewhere in next Christmas, I'm sure they'll be back. But yeah, so anyway, that does it for us. Again, Happy New Year to everybody who listens soon, and for anybody that listens in like June, happy summer. But and
if you happen to be tuning in 3 weeks before Christmas of 2025, this could be a very important topic, because maybe they're back and maybe they're expanding their range.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
So, alrighty. Well, with that said, that does it for us. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode at our new time of 10 a.m. to noon. And yeah. So again, if anybody wants to see all of our previous episodes, odysseyfilesradio.com. If you'd like to send us in a paranormal story or question, Odyssey Files Radio.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That up.
I'm so used to saying odysseyparanormalsociety.com, which is my team's page, that I haven't quite gotten used to the odysseyfilesradio.com.
There you go.
But yeah. So until next week, stay healthy, stay safe. Want to see you back here. Everyone have a great day.